Big welcome to our channel. We are Team Crushing the Meta, and today we're here for you guys with a new content. Crushing guest, as I like to call it, because we from Crushing the Meta don't always have the opportunities to go to all the tournaments and to do deck profiles and take reports. Sometimes we could do it in a different way. We talk afterwards to the people and ask about their deck list, their deck profiles, and all of that, and their report of the tournament. So here we have the two players who played Spike Brothers from the BCS France tournament in November, the regionals in 2017. We have, if I'm pronouncing the name right, Dantouma and Cyrille. So these two players are now became good friends of mine, which I really appreciate because I really like having more Spike Brother players to talk to, and it's really nice to have to talk to them because they have a very different playstyle. All the three of us have a very different playstyle, and it's really nice to see them perform so well. So we're gonna talk about their decks, their matchups, and also a little bit about their playstyle. So first of all, we got Cyrille's deck. As you can see from here, he plays, of course, the 4 Mega Trainers. It's important if you play the Turbo, you play the 4 Mega Trainers. I normally play only 3, but it does work for me, and I play the deck a bit different. Then we have, which is the important lineup in Spikes, especially in the Turbo deck, is your trigger lineup. It depends on your playstyle, you will change your trigger lineup. As we can see, he plays the 5 crit, 7 draw. You can play, if you want to, you could play the 12 draw. You can play the 8 draw. You can play whatever you like. But the most consistent or the most balanced, I would say, is the 7 draw, 5 crit. So this is the most balanced trigger lineup. I do play it different. I play sometimes the 7 crit, 5 draw, or 6-6. It's also the same. But the most balanced is the 5 crit, 7 draw. Of course, the 4 heal, and then we go to the grade 1 lineup. He plays 4 perfect guards, which is necessary in the format that Stillwater is out there. 3 stride fathers because only 7 grade 3s. 3 Fro graders. It's very important to have the Fro grader in your deck when you go to the Dirty Pickerel combo, and you don't want to search them out with your Mega Trainer because Mega Trainer is just there to get your heal triggers into your hand, or sometimes your perfect guards. 2 Elizas, the same, 2 Elizas and 4 Mayhem Tigers are for the Dirty Pickerel combo, and 1 tier which could give you the counter charges back. Especially when you go Dirty Pickerel and you have the space behind your Vanguard, you call out the tier and you get 3 counter charges back, or sometimes even 4. Then we have, of course, the 4 Mayhem Tiger, as I said, and 2 Lethal Forward, 3 Axe Divers. It's important to have the Lethal Forward Axe Diver combo in your deck. You could play Impulse if you want to, but it's not as good as the Lethal Forward Axe Diver, which I like to call them the twins. So the twins are very necessary in the deck. The Lethal Forward is very important in the Hellard 8 turn, but also on your first stride turn, which he, by his twin brother Axe Diver, they could just finish off your opponents. Depend on how much counterblasts you have. You could also go the double lethal combo with Eliza or with 2 Elizas. It's insane. You can do a lot with these guys. Then we have the 1 Parkour, which he didn't have any Link Joker matchups, but he said that the Parkour was the perfect right target. So yeah, let's go to the grade 3s. Of course, we see 4 copies of Rising Nova. It's important to have 4 because you need to have him as your main grade 3. And he is the one that restand the Fro grader. Otherwise, if you don't have a Rising Nova Vanguard, your Fro grader would not restand. It's very important for the Fro grader and for the Axe Diver that you have the Rising Nova as your Vanguard. And then, of course, the same with Lethal Forward. And of course, we have the Hive Maker. Hive Maker, Eliza, and Axe Divers are 3 cards that could give your Fro grader extra 10Ks in your Hellard 8 turn. If you don't know what I'm talking about, comment and I'll explain it to you. Then we go to the G zone, 3 copies of Supernova because you play Axe Diver, so you could get the extra 10k. 2 copies of Miracle Ace because you still want to play him, and sometimes he could finish your opponent off. 2 Piccolos because Cyrille plays Piccolo a lot as a first stride. So G-Guard a lot the first turn, then Piccolo first stride, and then GB8, which is an interesting approach, but yeah, it does work, and that's why the 2 Piccolos. And then only 6 G-Guardians. Well, I do not agree with this. I would say play 5 or play 7. If you play 7, you could go first stride GB8. If you play only 6, there is really no use for the other Linus. I didn't hear his thought about this yet, so I will ask him again about this. But I think that he just wants to have as much face-up cards in his G-Zone as he needs. But I say if you have 5 face-up cards in the G-Zone, that's enough. Because you go Piccolo, Piccolo flips the 7th. So you have the 6th, which is Piccolo, the 7th get flipped by Piccolo, and then you could go GB8. So there is really no reason to play the 3 Lioness in my opinion, because when you go first stride, then you don't have to use the Lionesses. 2 are enough. But yeah, and of course you have the 2 Cray Elementals, which the Sebreeze is a key card in this current meta, and we have the Merendol, which is also very good in spikes. I think people even play him now at 2 in the turbo deck because he could attack the rear guard, and the important thing about him is he flips in the main phase, and he is a Cray Elemental, so he works with tier. But flipping in the main phase means he doesn't have to attack into the Vanguard. Hell, he doesn't even have to attack, but he still gives you the extra flip for your Hellard 8 turn, second turn. So Merendol very important in spikes right now. Then to talk about their matchups. First of all, Cyrille's matchup, he got first round and second round a bye card, so he got the win. Third round he had to play against Gguards, and he got in second stride Hellard 8 turn, perfect finish. His opponent was struggling with riding and striding, so Cyrille said it was really easy to get the heals to my hand and I could finish them off with the Hellard 8 turn as a second stride. Round 4, Vanguard Norokami. This is a very tricky matchup, so he knew that his opponent has a heal trigger in hand, so he pressured him a lot the first stride, that the opponent had to give up one of their G-Guardians to kill the lethal forward, and after that he was able to go for a perfect second stride Hellard 8. Round 5, Tokurambu. Tokurambu pressured him a lot, so he had a lot of damage, and from there he was able to do the twin combo, so the lethal diver combo, and he got the first stride kill from there. That's why the lethal diver are so important in this deck, is that they could finish off on the first, second stride, whatever, or even on the Hellard 8 turn. The twins are so good together, and it's really insane. Round 6. Now, the 2 players had to play against each other, so a GB8 mirror match is insanely crazy. The thing is, you don't want to attack to your opponent because they would use their G-Guardians, but you want to maintain your hand and keep up advantage. So you'll be just attacking, sometimes not even with the rare guys, because you just don't want to attack. So you go to Merendol, you flip something open, and that's it for your turn. Things like that. But yeah, after a while, Cyrille was thinking, well, okay, now it's the time to attack, and he went into a supernova, and the supernova was able to get the field the extra 10k, which makes his Mayhem Tiger strong enough to not be able for his opponent to guard him with the Perfect Guard or the G Guardian. So his opponent had to give up 5Ks from his hand to make the Mayhem Tiger not hit, because the Mayhem Tiger had the crit. And after all, the Mayhem Tiger was able to go through, and that is what finished the game off. But yeah, he also had his Eliza, but he didn't have any counterblast. Otherwise, the Eliza could call the Mayhem Tiger again, and that would finish the game off as well. In round 8 and 7, he had to play against Zodiac Time Beast, which there were a lot of Zodiac Time Beast players in that tournament. And the 7th round, the 8th round were all the same, but in the 7th round he was still um, going at it, and he got the second stride win from Hellard 8. And on round 8, he lost because of some misplays, and he was getting tired, and he already was going to the tops. But yeah, after all, that game came back and haunted him, which he was a 7-1, and that meant he was going to the tops. But in the top 8, he had to play against the worst matchup, which is Battle Sisters, or Oracle Think Tank in general. There were 3 Lure players, there were 2 Zodiac Time Beast players, there was a Vanguisher player, and there was, let me think, I don't remember the last one was, but it's really insane that he had to play, or yeah, the Battle Sister one and then himself, but it was really insane that he had to play against the worst matchup. Maybe if he won round 8, then he wouldn't have to play against Battle Sisters, but yeah, you'd never know. So yeah, that was the worst matchup for him, and he won game 1, lost game 2, or no, he lost game 1, won game 2, and lost game 3. And because the first matchup, or the first game, he was trying to G-guard a lot the first stride, and after that go into Picaro, and with Picaro you could go and get your counter charges back, and then you go Hellard 8, but it didn't really work out because I think he even had to Sebreeze on the first stride because his opponent Great Lock once, and then after that he I don't really remember it, but we have it on video, we have no footage. On the second game, he was able to go to a Hellard 8 turn, so he was first G-guarding a lot, and then went Picaro, and then after that went Hellard 8. In the last round, he tried to do the same, but his opponent had 2 heal triggers and a PG in hand, but he didn't know about the extra heal trigger and PG. He knew about only 1 heal trigger, so he went for a full onslaught with Dirty Picaro and the Mayhem Tigers, but his opponent was able to stop 2 Mayhem Tigers and the Vanguard attack, which left him with doing only 1 damage. And then the opponent answered with just the Stillwater, and that would finish the game off, if I remember it correctly. Otherwise, you will see the video in the next few days, or maybe next week. So that was it for him. He played a very, very good tournament, was able to go to the top 8 in a very hard format for spikes, especially with that much Oracle Think Tank players, and Kagero, Blade Master, Vanquisher, a lot of decks that could interfere with your field. I mean, even having the H rounds and the G-guard from Nubitama will take out your Frog Raider and will leave you with less power, or would leave you with a useless Miracle Ace turn. So yeah, that's actually it for the tournament for him. The thing that I want to talk about Cyrille is that he is very nice to play against. I've seen him explain his deck in a very calm way. So when he was playing against his opponent, he was like asking, "Did you play against Spike Brothers before?" He was explaining the skills. Like his opponent was asking, "Okay, you have now 5 Regards on the field. What could they do?" He was explaining like, "I could attack, and the Eliza could bring something back, give it an extra 2k. The Frog Raider would restand whenever you call a charge unit." See, he was explaining the whole field, the field in a very, very, very calm way. So his opponent was really listening to him, and that's really nice to see, because usually the opponent would like to read the cards itself because he doesn't trust you. And when he was playing, his opponent was like trusting him, and they were very happy to play against him. Even playing against these kind of decks, he was very, very, very polite when he played, and I really, really appreciate that coming from a Spike Runner player. Me, myself, I do it differently. It depends on my opponent. If my opponent being a jerk, then I would be a bigger jerk. But if my opponent is being polite, then I would definitely explain all of the skills and be very polite. And the question that I always ask before the game is like, have you played against Spikes before? Do you know their skills? And if the opponent is like, yes, I know, then I would say, okay, then I will go on with fast playing. If you don't understand something or you have a question about something, just interrupt me and I will explain it to you. But Cyrille was doing it in a very different way, and it was very, very nice to see, and I do appreciate it a lot. Now we have the other player, which is Dantouma, if I'm pronouncing the name right. We see a very different deck list right here. We see the 16 draws, which is insane, or 16, 12 draws, which is insane, and the 4 heal. Of course, the 4 Mayhem Mega Trainers and the 4 Mayhem Tiger as well. For the Grade 1 lineup, we see the 3 Stride Folders as always, and only 3 Perfect Guards, 2 Tiers, and 3 Frog Raiders. And that would mean that this guy plays only 11 Grade 1. When I asked him about why do you place only 11 Grade 1, he told me you only need 1 Grade 1 to go to the GB8. And I would agree with him on that. I mean, I would play 1 more Stride Folder or 1 more Rising Nova, because I do really want to ride into the Rising Nova, and I am very unlucky to ride into the Grade 3s. So I'm very happy to have a Rising Nova in my hand. But he played like the 3 Rising Nova, the 3 Hive Makers, and 2 Bulldozer Dope. Dope is of course very strong with your GB8 turn and with lethal. Or sometimes you don't have the counterblast to walk with Axe Diver, then the Bulldozer Dope would be a good finisher. The Hive Maker is of course very important. I would play 1 less Dope or 1 less Hive Maker to play 1 more Nova, but Nova is useless as a rear guard and he doesn't have charge. He also play only 3 Perfect Guards, 2 Tiers, which he relies a lot on the Axe Diver, which you play 4. I do understand the 2 Tiers, but yeah, it's really insane. This deck list is very crazy. Playing only 1 Picro, 2 Miracle Ace, but 2 copies of Hard 8. So that would mean if you could not finish off the first one, your opponent could not do a lot because they lost all of their hand. You could just go another Hard 8 and finish them off. Because even from your drive check, you do have enough cards to finish off with Hard 8. The only problem with the second hill is that you don't really have a lot of charge units left in your deck to call them. But looking at his deck, he does, because especially he played the charge Perfect Guards. He played 1 less Miracle Ace, 1 less Rising Nova, and he plays a lot of charge units. But yeah, the extra draws, I mean, it's really insane. Your opponent would not know that you don't play any crits, so they would still be guarding your Vanguard attack, and they will see draw trigger, and they will see your hand increasing, and they will be like, damn. Also, the G Guardians is another thing that I really thought it was unnecessary. I mean, he plays like 3 Lioness, 1 Maximum, 1 Irie, 2 of the discard and draw, and 1 Desmiel. So that would mean he played 6, 7, 8. Let's see, 6, 7, 8. He plays 8 G Guardians, which is insane. I mean, you don't really need that much G Guardians, but I think that he likes to have the option to go into which one. And he don't play Supernova. I would play 1 less G Guardian and like take the maximum out, or the second discard and draw to play 1 more Picaro, because he does play the 2 tier, so I don't see any problem with playing the Picaro. Of course, he does play the 2 Myrtle, which is nice because he doesn't play the Supernova, so he has place to play second one. And of course, we see the Sebreeze, which is, as I said, a key card in this format. So I would say that this deck list is less balanced than the other one, but I think from his playstyle and when talking to him, this deck does fit him very, very well. I do have question marks about the extra G Guardians, but I think that when you play 1 less Supernova and you think 1 Picaro is enough for your playstyle, there is no reason to play anything else. It's nice to have the options to use any G Guardian you want. Then for his matchups, he didn't have a buy card, so he had to play everything. His first matchup was against Time Leap. He got a lot of pressure from Time Leap first stride, and because of that, he wasn't able to get his heal triggers to his hand, and he went after all to a third stride Hellard 8 after his opponent could not stride on his last turn. And he got the win, of course. Round 2, he played against Darkness Charlotte. He got the perfect second stride Hellard 8. His opponent knew that he was playing against Hellard 8, and it was like he gave up before the match started. Round 3, he played against Blasters, and he used the Lethal Diver combo to go for the kill and for the win. So again, the Lethal Diver, the twin brothers are very important in your deck. Round 4, played against Tachikaze Gaia. He was able to get all of his heal triggers into his hand before striding. So he went first to the grade 3, his opponent attacking first with the Vanguard, and that's when the opponent knew he fucked up. Because he was like G-Guard the first, then attack with the Vanguard, then drop 3 G-Guards on that, and you have GB8. And then we have round 5, which he played against Nitros. He played this match very smart to attack first into the Cannoneer, let Nitros use her skill on a useless unit or to take something out of the field, and then attack with your Vanguard with your Rising Nova skill, call something from your deck, and from there you could just go on and on and on, and your opponent would not do anything about it anymore. Then round 6, he had to play, of course, against the Cyrille, and he lost that match, which was a very interesting match. I really wanted to put that match on video, but I was playing myself. And then round 7 and round 8, he had to play against Domination. And the 7th round he lost, and the 8th round he won. But because he lost the 7th round, he knew that he wasn't going to the top. And when playing the 8th round, he was like, well, yeah, we will see. So he was not really in the mood to play anymore. So he was just finishing his opponent off by the Hellard 8 combo, and it was just it. So yeah, he played a 6-2. I think that they were very unlucky to play against each other in the 6th round, but at the same time, both of them were lucky not to go against Oracle Think Tank in the rounds, in the 8th rounds. Of course, Cyrille was very unlucky to have to go into the tops and after all face the Battle Sisters. But yeah, at least he was able to play very well and go to the tops. Then let's talk a little bit about the playstyle of the decks. I mean, both of us, or both of them, and including myself, all the three of us have very different playstyle. But when it comes to Spike Release, to Hellard 8 and Rising Nova in general, you have your Mega Trainers with search up your draw triggers. And your draw triggers would mean that you search up and use your Terrible Lioness or your discard and draw. And from there, it's like as much Mega Trainers as you play, the more consistency the deck gets. And the same with the draw triggers. If you play more draw triggers, you have more option to get your heal triggers, of course, to your hand, and your Mega Trainers. And your Mega Trainers will search up your Hail Arts pieces. And you also have the Eliza Frog Raider, plus the Axe Diver and Lethal Forward. These 3 cards, Eliza, Frog Raider, Axe Diver, Lethal Forward, are the 4 cards, in my opinion, that gives you a lot of pressure to put on your opponent. Going Eliza, Frog Raider, Lethal Forward, the first stride, is enough to make your opponent cry, because the Lethal Forward attacks twice, or sometimes even 3 times, and he will hit at least once, or your opponent would have to give a lot of cards from their hand to guard all of these attacks, which is also good because you plus your hand by your opponent discarding a lot of cards. And then we have the Tier and the Mayhem Tiger going to the Frog Raider Eliza combo, which is the Triple Tiger attack, or the Triple Tiger Twins, whatever you want to call it. I do like to call it the Triple Tiger attack. I know that Living Proof like to call it the Trips Tiger, I think, or something like that. But yeah, it's all the same. You go Eliza, Frog Raider, 2 Mayhem Tigers. Sometimes you call the Tier behind your finger to get the counter blasts back, and your Eliza will be active, even by having 2 damage. But yeah, it's a really good combo, and it does finish off a lot of opponents, especially if you have crits in your deck. You put one of the crits on the Mayhem Tiger, which will attack first, or if they let your Vanguard attack go through, they would lose as well. So in that turn, in the triple Tiger attack turn, you do need the crits, and that's the reason why I like to play 7 or 6 crits. Then we have the hard 8 turn, which means that you do need the Frog Raider to power up your field. If you don't have the Frog Raider, it's alright, because you still have 3 Mayhem Tigers left in your deck, or 2, and maybe 1 in your hand, which you call with the Hive Maker. The Hive Maker, Eliza, Lethal Forward, and Axe Diver will do a lot of work, especially Hive Maker, Eliza, and Axe Diver, because those 3 are not on hit. So Hive Maker, Eliza, Axe Diver will give power to your Frog Raider and will give you multiple attack and would let you plus from them. Especially the Eliza, which you can stack the hard 8 skill on her and still use her own skill. The Axe Diver, if you attack first with a Vanguard, boosted by the Frog Raider, you give the skill to the Frog Raider again, power him up, then call Axe Diver from your deck with your Vanguard or with another attack, and then you could bind and call the unit that was in front of the Frog Raider, which will give another 10k for your Frog Raider. So it's really insane, it's really good. And then, of course, let's talk about the strides. So we have first stride, we have a second stride, and that's when the game would like to finish. So before we go to the MVPs, let's talk about the first stride. So you have Supernova versus Merendil. The thing about Supernova, he does give you the advantage to charge one of your units, but you have to attack into the Vanguard. At the same time, if you want to use your Rising Nova skill, you do have to attack to the Vanguard anyway. So Merendil is really nice, but you need to have like some kind of a field to be able to do something. But if you go for a lethal forward onslaught, then I would advise you to go first to Supernova. Then we have Miracle Ace versus G-Guardians. Miracle Ace being a very good finisher, he loses to a lot of G-Guardians. He loses to cards like Denala Griffin, he loses to cards like Hate Rounds, so against Gears, against Kagura, against Narukami, against Nubutama, he definitely would lose. So that's why Miracle Ace, we cannot rely on him a lot. And then we have, of course, a first stride, which could be a Dirty Picaro, which is, I think, the perfect first stride because you don't lose hand and you do get your counter charges back anyway. And of course, Hellhard 8 for the win as a first stride, which, if you play a lot of draw triggers, that would definitely work out. Dirty Picaro would mean you go to tier Frog Raider, and if you use him as a first stride, sometimes you go to the lethal forward axe combo. But if your opponent is at 4 damage, you will definitely go for the Mayhem Tigers. Supernova as a first stride is almost the same, but you do have to go with Eliza Frog Raider, lethal forward, just to pressure your opponent. And you could also go for 2 Mayhem Tigers and finish the opponent off on the first stride with Supernova. But usually your opponent is at like 3 damage, and from there you could just go lethal forward Axe Diver on their ass. A second stride would definitely be Hellhard 8, if you got the 3 heals in hand. The Frog Raider with the Hive Maker, Eliza Lethal, and Axe Diver will do their job. Well done. And then, of course, you could also have Dirty Picaro as a second stride, which you definitely go for the Mayhem Tiger triple twin attack. And again, you could definitely go for Miracle Ace as a second stride, or with Supernova to give the extra 10k to your field. Me, myself, I dislike going Miracle Ace, because I really don't use him anymore. Some matchups, like when you really know you can't finish your opponent off, you could go Miracle Ace, but it would lose you hand advantage. Miracle Ace costs you 2 counterblasts, because he costs you a counterblast, and your stride skill costs you a counterblast, and you lose a hand because of him. And most of the time, your Dirty Picaro does the same, but doesn't lose you hand. So I like Dirty Picaro more. Then the MVPs versus a team. The Spike Brothers, when people say we have my MVP is Hellhard 8, or the MVP is Frog Raider, or it's Eliza, or it's the Axe Diver. Well, there is no really MVP in Spikes, because it's more of a team. you do need your Mega Trainer to search up your heal triggers, but your heal triggers would be useless if you don't play your Linus. And if you turbo, that would mean you go to Hellard 8. And if you go Hellard 8, that would mean you need a Frog Raider. So it's a combo deck. I mean, even the Cray Elementals, that's why I have the picture of the Cray Elemental right here, of Plant Cray. Even the Cray Elementals do a lot of crazy things in this deck. I mean, calling the tier, getting your counter charge back, your opponent would look at you like, damn, you have all of the counter charge back, you could do the whole combo all over again. And you will be like, yeah, of course. You have the Rising Nova and the Hive Maker, the Supernova, which could still charge. Everything that you play in your deck is necessary. Even the draw triggers, if you have them in your hand, you discard them with PGs, but you could also put them into your soul when you attack with your Rising, or when you attack with your Dirty Picaro. So everything in your hand is really, really important. The whole deck is important. It's like the only downside to this deck is when you take damage is you lose units, but the damage that you take is perfect because you can use them as counterblasts and you can countercharge them back. But yeah, I would say if I would like to take one guy as an MVP of the deck, I would not choose the Mega Trainer. I would choose the Axe Diver. I have always played the Axe Diver, and I do appreciate that they made the card like this. The reason why the Axe Diver is so good is, and I've said this before a lot, is that he activates on place. So he works great with the Lethal Forward, but not only that, he works great with Supernova, he works great with a lot of cards, because he is on place. And all the other Spark cards could call, like, during the attack, after the attack, or before the attack. Everything has to be during, after, while attacking. And that's why the Axe Diver is so good, is because he calls or activates the skill on place, which is it is of course after an attack or before an attack because he is called by something else, but his skill will activate immediately. So that would mean that with the Lethal Forward combo, he activates before the Lethal get the chance to go back to the deck. And that's what makes him so good, is because he works in a whole another dimension. He, being called behind your Vanguard, could still call and bind the Lethal Forward, give you one more attack. You could make your opponent crazy by the skill of the Axe Diver, which is insanely good. So yeah, that's why I like the Axe Diver so much. And that's why I really don't want to take him out with the new set, but I think that he will be put down at 1 and we will see the use of him. And now with people giving him the chance that he needs to really redeem himself, because he really, from the start, he didn't really get the chance to do something. But now with Lethal Forward, he got another chance to do his stuff, but also with Hillard 8, he could do a lot. So yeah, that's actually it for me and for this video. If you want to talk more about Spark Brothers, you could always contact me or contact us and talk to us. You could always talk to the two players themselves, which I will, of course, put their names down below, and you could contact them if you want to on Facebook, and they will definitely explain to you why they play the deck this way. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and go to our channel, subscribe, and watch our videos. Go to our Facebook page, and tell us what you think about these videos, and tell us what you want to see next. Thanks guys for watching. Until next time.